yourself these. Hi and welcome, everyone. We have another program to teach us about transformation, the power of transformation, and how when we make changes in our lives, they can simply remain just changes. We end up struggling with them. We end up feeling like we're not really being able to do anything at all in our lives because we never really did anything else but make a change. Change and transformation are two separate things. Last week, Pete and I discussed this. If you watch our actual program last week, you will see that, or live stream from last week, you'll see that. And today we're bringing on a guest to really show the power, the intense, amazing, incredible power of transformation. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in Paula, and then we'll bring in our co-hosts. But Paula, welcome to the show, and please tell us your own story, how it all began, and why it is that you're now here to show us and teach us what it means to really transform one's life.
I came through such a big transformation, life-changing transformation, and everything started when I was in a very low and depressive state of my life, when I was going through so much pain, so much depression, and so much like hardships, and I was all covered by eczema, by blood, by bruises, by wounds, and my skin was feeling like it's on fire constantly. It was literally burning alive, and I didn't have any hope for myself. I was feeling hopeless. I was feeling like I'm literally dying and that there is no escape and no solution for me. And I was looking like deeply for what can help me to heal, what can transform and transmute, and how I can save myself from this situation. And then I found a lady called Ulenka, and it was a very inspiring journey because she managed to help her daughter to heal by changing the diet. And when she changed the diet and introduced vegan foods, raw living foods like fruits, vegetables, and seeds, and eliminate all the animal-based products and mucus-forming food, then she managed to heal her daughter. And then so like, oh, there is a hope for me as well, and I can heal myself naturally. I don't need to go to all these doctors and put steroids and take tablets just to numb my pain, but really it was only aggravating the problem and making my symptoms even worse. So I reached out to her and I asked for help, for guidance.
Okay, so right now we see that Paula is frozen on the screen. So we're going to, in the meantime, introduce our actual co-host while Paula logs off and logs back on, which is the only way to really resolve this. So in the meantime, I'm going to bring on Herb. Hello, Herb, and welcome to the live stream. You've been moving. We haven't seen you. It's now winter. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm very good, and I'm very grateful to be back here. I've missed you all and being part of this. I feel like I'm getting ready for hibernation, to be honest, because winter is upon us. It's come literally out of the blue. It's like the temperatures have fallen below zero. So I notice a huge shift and change within myself, preparing for the long dark days, cold grueling days, which is fine. It just takes time to adapt. So that's been interesting for me. But I've been really happy with all the fruit I have available. I have lots of selection, lots of mandarins, pomegranates, mangoes, cherimoya. What else have I got lurking around? Lots of melons and persimmons. So it's always a joyous time of year for me because it's like new varieties of fruit that sustain me over the winter. And yeah, I've been getting out on runs early in the morning when it's really frosty, sub-zero conditions. And yeah, still riding my bike. So not much has changed, just a little bit colder. Thank you.
Well, that's wonderful. That's actually, I happen to love cold, so this is my season, which is why, yes, I've got these beautiful, stunning persimmons. And do you all know this fruit? It's like a dragon fruit, but it's called a pear. We're getting all these amazing fruit from Mexico here now, which are just incredible. And welcome back, Paula. She's here with her story of transformation. So just unmute yourself and then.
I'm sorry, I think my laptop is not working correctly, so I will just stick with my phone. Can you hear me properly?
Yes, I can hear you. Go right ahead. But turn off the laptop then, please, because we're hearing the sound in the background.
Yes.
And then come on the phone afterwards. So before Paula gets back on, I'm going to bring on Phil. Hello, Phil. Phil, you're on. Can you hear me, Phil? Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I was just I was pressing the unmute button and it wasn't unmuting.
Aha, okay. Well, welcome back and nice to have you with us again today. We're looking at Paula's transformation today. As you know, we're focusing on transformation for the next month or so. And could you explain why is you think it's important to have and hear people's stories of transformation?
Yeah, so there's so much suffering, and we really need this, where people are transforming and changing their lives. They're taking responsibility for their suffering and going, what can I do? How can I change this? How can I stop my suffering? And it helps each of us. You know, it inspires me when people transform their lives and they heal and they're happy and they're healthy and they're vibrant and life's a joy for them. You know, that really inspires me to dig deeper on my journey and support others on their journey, because this transformation is the key. Change is one thing, but change without transformation is just change. So transformation is really, really important for inspiration to everybody.
Yeah, change never lasts. It's you know where we go when we're feeling, oh, I think I would very much like to try this, and it's to me just a trial run. The transformation, you're committed, you're disciplined, you're ready for it. So, Paula, how's that working for you? And welcome on board, Sabina. We'll go to Sabina soon, our co-host Sabina. So, how did you decide not just to change, but to actually bring on a full-on transformation? And just unmute yourself first.
Yes, so I, like you said, that I didn't want to suffer anymore, and by suffering and experiencing all this pain, we actually transmute and we leave all the pain and all the timelines that are not serving us, and we are inspired to join a new reality, new life. And if we didn't experience all this pain, we wouldn't be the same person, and we wouldn't gain all this knowledge and go through this beautiful journey of transformation. So I'm like truly blessed and grateful for all what happened to me, because I'm like a completely different new version of me, and this pain, all this suffering made me somebody like completely different level of energy. It brings me so much joy, so much like meeting myself of a new deeper level of a level that I never was thinking that I can reach, and I could never really feel so connected with myself, with my spirit. It awakened my consciousness. It shifted the reality just by changing the diet and the lifestyle. And I just transformed from caterpillar to a beautiful butterfly. I've emerged, and I let go of all the layers of pain, of suffering, all these toxins that were stored in my body and deformations. I was then ready to release all these traumas and pains that I was holding, because when we open the detox pathways and when we want to heal and remove all the stagnation, all the pain, then we release a lot of tension, a lot of traumas from our muscles, from our body, from our vessel, and then our face structure changes, our energy levels increasing, and we are just a completely new transformed version of ourselves.
Can you take us back to how you started and what change? You said you made change your eating habits and change your lifestyle. Could you tell exactly what was the difference? What did you not just change, but commit to being?
Yes,
That's
sure.
the difference between change and transformation.
Yes, so I completely changed my diet. I was on kind of standard diet. I'm from Poland, so it was a lot of meat, a lot of dairy, a lot of gluten. Not as much processed food as in different countries, because most of the food I was eating was homemade, but it was still a lot of heavy and stagnant food. I was not drinking really much water or fresh juices, so I introduce fresh juices in the morning. I introduce a lot of different herbs. I introduce green powders to my diet, like green barley grass powder, spirulina, chlorella. I introduce celery juice in the morning on empty stomach and water with lemon. I started doing enemas and releasing the waste from my colon. I started eating more fruits and smoothies. And first, I was not going fully raw at the beginning, because I was slowly adapting to the diet and slowly eliminating heavy, dense food. So first I went vegetarian, then very quickly I went vegan, fully vegan. And then I was slowly removing the heavy mucus forming food. So my meals were mainly like I said, in the morning juices, then mono fruits, and then I had one cooked meal, which was for example, sweet potatoes and salad, and then I was slowly transitioning to fully raw, mainly fruit-based diet. But it was like a process for me. I didn't do it too fast, because I had all these toxins stored in my body. But it was the time that I decided that I would just go full on with the detox, and I did it too fast and too intensely, and then my my kind of detox response was too aggressive, and then it flared up so much, so then I needed to slow down it a bit as well. Citruses were quite aggressive for me, so I was mainly sticking with green juices, with melons, watermelons, grapes sometimes, and not feeding, because I had a problem with candida overgrowth, so I was trying not to eat too many fruits at the beginning of my journey, to just starve the pathogens, the candida and parasites. So that's what I shift the most. And then of course I added movement and other techniques of spiritual well-being to my diet as well, to my lifestyle, and it all created a nice balance for me, nice change.
So that was the food part. Did you change anything else in your lifestyle?
Yes, I started to be more active, so I started going out in the nature for walks, for running. I started doing a lot of dance therapy, because when I changed my diet, my energy levels increased and my passion and joy for life increased as well. So I started doing a lot of dance therapy. I was literally dancing everywhere I go. It was such a healing experience for me, such a positive way of bringing myself back to life and release all these burdens and all this pain that was holding me. It was kind of my method for meditation. So it was like literally letting go of all the worries and all the emotional pain that was coming out when I was doing the detox, because when we do the detox, then all this emotional pain is going on the surface. So it really helped me a lot to stay on this journey and to be dedicated. I also introduce daily affirmations and prayers, and just feeling like affirmations like, oh, I'm worthy of all the health, I'm worthy of being here, I am abundant, I am blessed, I am grateful for everything. And that was so helpful because eczema manifested for me because I was like also holding a lot of pain and stress, and it was of course toxins that were accumulated through bad eating and environmental poisons and chemicals, but it was also a lot of stress and a lot of traumas that I was still holding in my body, and it manifested on my skin. So that was a big change for me when I started finally like reclaiming my power back and started believing in myself and loving myself. Because before I was just feeling like I'm a big loser. I didn't love myself. I didn't appreciate myself, and I was not believing that I am worthy of anything good happen to me. And that's why I was suffering so much.
So thank you for that. We're going to come back to you in a moment. Sabina, does anything here sound familiar or similar? And could you also explain to the difference for you between how Paula made the transition into this huge transformation and yours?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Paula, Paula. If you're Polish, you're probably Paula. Thank you, Paula, for sharing your story. And I went through a similar transformation. It was a long time ago, more than 30 years ago. When I was 19, I was always sick. I was always constipated and congested. I could only go to the bathroom every 3 days. I always had to walk around with a tissue box. It was always nasal issues, coughing, bronchitis. I was the chronic sick child. And when I was 19, I left my family and I came across a bookstore with a book on the raw food lifestyle. And I grew up in Germany. And on the German diet, lots of potatoes, lots of meat, lots of sausages, lots of butter and dairy, and lots of sweets, candies, and sweetened drinks. So that was my diet. So I went from that diet. I did it immediately, going on raw food, fruits and vegetables only. And really, after 1 month, I had a massive transformation. My nose cleared up. I never had to walk around with a tissue box ever again. And I suddenly could go to the bathroom every day. So many things improved from there. And that was just the beginning of that journey. And then after that, going into yoga, meditation, I studied Buddhism, Kabbalah, and you name it, everything that has to do with spirituality and personal development, shamanism, energy medicine, I dived in. And that brought me to where I am today. And I can say I have not had a cold in more than 20 years now. I just don't get it anymore. I don't really get sick anymore. I only had one issue, but that had to do, there was a big emotional piece as I was going through a heartbreak. I got bitten by a tick, and I was already in so much pain from that separation that then I actually got Lyme disease. And I got bitten by ticks before. I never had any issue, but I think there was a lot of stagnation in my body and so much emotional pain that just contributed to me being bedridden for 2 weeks, or I would say even more, 2 weeks. But then I decided to, because I couldn't move, I was in such pain, I decided to go deep into fasting. I fasted before, usually it's like 2 or 3 days. But this time I went 5 days and actually went away after 5 days, which is amazing. And complete pain gone. And I got bitten by ticks after that, but I never got anything because it's all about the terrain, keeping your terrain strong and clean. And yeah, I mean, that's just a shortcut of my journey. And I never look back. To this day, I eat, I would say, 90% raw and lots of fruits, of course. And I always do intermittent fasting. For 30 years, I've been doing this. I don't eat in the morning. I usually don't eat after 5, 6 o'clock. And I connect to nature every day. I walk barefoot in the winter, on snow, on ice. And I do breath work. I move my body every day. Yoga. I lift weights. I do Pilates. I go upside down. I hang on a sling every day. I do lots of different things because health is not just the diet. There's many more pieces to it. So I'm addressing, and most importantly, I make sure I keep my emotions calm and stable. That's really a big piece, emotional mastery that changes everything. And learning to experience everyday joy. You know, I wake up in the morning, every morning, what can I create today? And what can I do today to experience the most amount of joy and fulfillment? So I'm living the love romance with life. That's how I would call it.
Thank you, Sabina. And you also go dancing in the woods a lot.
Yes, I mean, I used to go always I used to go when the rain came. I went dancing naked in the rain. That was something I loved doing because I've been living in the forest for many years and there's really no one seeing me here. So I would go dancing in the rain. I would roll around naked in the snow. I go cold plunging. There's just behind my house, there's a creek, and on the other side, there's a waterfall. So any moment I can do, and even to this day, I turn the music on sometimes and I go outside and just dance in my backyard in the forest. So I love, being connected to nature and move my body in nature.
Thank you for that, because I think it's really important that we emphasize, people are listening, that it's not just food. It's for transformation to happen, it has to be the entire being, all aspects of ourselves. Otherwise, it's just a temporary change and you will not stay on the food diet. So it's more of a lifestyle than a diet, this lifestyle that we're speaking about today. So, Paula, can you please explain to us how you said that you did these changes, but how? What inspired you to do them? And when did you do? I mean, how long did it take you to do them? And when did you see the first results?
So the first results was happened quite fast for me. Like I was surprised that my skin is getting much clearer. Like even after first weeks of changing the diet. But it also were coming into waves because when I started like going deeper into detox, then I had big flare-ups and it was getting even bigger than when before I started. When afterwards it was clearing and it was like coming into layers for me. So it was not like a kind of straightforward healing. It was just coming on and off, and then I need to like process more pain, more toxins. But every time I was coming back stronger and more aligned and more connected with myself. So each time I was doing these processes, I was changing my DNA, I was changing my structure, I was changing connection with myself and with the universe, with God. So it was really a not easy and challenging journey for me in my experience. And it came like for first improvements after a few weeks, but then the whole journey was like it's still happening, but I was telling like, oh, my journey is so long, it's like still happening, and it's always something that I'm still shifting and improving. And I'm just truly blessed and grateful for this journey because I'm feeling like I'm more myself each day and I'm more connected with everything that is surrounding me.
Yes, I'm glad you spoke about the connection, especially on a daily basis. And both you and actually also Sabina mentioned about going out in nature and being in nature. And I know that's something that's very important to you, Herb, and that you even working professionally. You're out in nature on your bicycle.
Yes, being in nature is it's integral. It's integral to all of us. I remember as a kid, I grew up in the city, so I never really had that much of a connection. But since moving away from there, being in the open, I just noticed just another world within myself opened up and feeling rooted and connected. And it's just amazing hearing what's been shared so far from Paula and Sabina. It's so inspirational to hear, and it's beautiful to share that, to inspire others, because it can be you have to be very courageous, really, to go on this path of transformation. And it can be scary, you can be on your own, be alone, a lot of doubts, a lot of fears, and you are going into the unknown for a specific reason. I relate to it as well. I had conditions myself, like I've shared a few times on here, and I wanted to heal one particular thing, and then you become to discover more things that come to the surface within yourself, and you end up healing other things that are embedded into us, and you discover so much more about yourself, about the world. The returns pays dividends when you invest in your health. It's beyond imaginable, really, how I can describe it. Things that I discovered I could never ever would have imagined. Becoming so much more happy, more joyful, more integrated, more loving, not just physically healthy, more active. It's it's tremendous, and a big part of my healing. Food played a huge role, but like you touched on, Dewey, being healthy is more than food. And the missing link for me that I found, which was the master key, was meditation. And after having the perfect ideal diet, I still felt like something was missing. And when I discovered meditation and dived deep within myself and combined that being in nature, that's when I truly blossomed in life. Like Paula mentioned, you go from a caterpillar to a butterfly. That's how I really, really, really felt by that. And I love to share that with others, because I see a way out for others. And like Phil had mentioned, so much suffering going on in the world, and there doesn't have to be. And there's also coming to a realization that suffering is actually, in my experience, is a blessing. It opens you up to things, it makes you want to change and shift and be committed to something and discover the mysteries of life that we all have and often is missed. And we have treasures within ourselves that we have access to. But it takes courage and faith to go through. And I highly encourage anyone, especially those listening, to really, really listen and trust your intuition and what's being shared here, because it's the truth. Being in touch with nature, being in touch with yourself, healing your past, you're dealing with your emotions, because all these things will come up when you go on this journey of healing. And to see it through, and everything will be amazing. It's all for our good.
Thank you very much, Herb. So Phil, both Herb and Sabina and Paula spoke about the importance of being outdoors, but you are a builder. So are you outdoors a lot?
When it's not too cold or not too wet. I spend a fair bit of time outside. When I'm not working, I spend quite a lot of time in the garden. I was building my own sauna last year, so I spent quite a lot of time out doing that and walking in nature. And actually, my partner and I have embarked on a nature. It's called Deep Nature Connection with a friend of mine, and that, so we go for, I think it's 12 weekends over a 2-year period, and we immerse ourselves in the woods doing lots of meditation, sit spots, sweat lodges, lots of sharing circles, soul retrieval. So yeah, lots of stuff in nature.
How glorious. Wow. And so do you think that's why for you it was a transformation, changing your diet, and not just a change that was just temporary? Because most change that when people change their diet is temporary. What I'm alluding to today is that when we change our diet, we've got to change other aspects of ourselves. Our entire lifestyle needs to change in order to sustain the diet. And that's why so many people say, yeah, I tried it, I got better, but I couldn't maintain it, because they didn't change. It's not the diet that's important, it's them. The diet just allows us the energy and gives us the energy and the impetus to make other changes in our lives, which is why I remember actually listening to Pete speaking about how when he went to turn to jiu-jitsu, how that made a difference. So Pete, come in and tell us, what did you find maintained? You have to change the diet to stay on the diet, and did being outdoors help at any point?
Yes, at the time of my transition, 18 years ago, I had learned the Jinshin Jiu-Jitsu. It sounds like a martial art, but a grandmother of acupuncture. So it's a really simple, relaxed way of healing yourself, getting to know thyself, I would say. So that I had that protocol already, and I realized that I could take it for granted, but I had previous to that 25 years ago done 2 years of different techniques, learning astrology, breath work, and lots of meditation, working with the elements. And so I was doing 2 classes for nearly 2 years, 2 different groups, and then weekend stuff as well. So the food was massive. If I hadn't had any of that other awareness, it could have been really, really difficult. And I do hear some people here having difficulties in it. And then, like I said, I could take that for granted. But I realized I had the other practices. So when I had Jinshin Jiu-Jitsu, it was so a game changer. Again, I forget, I could have gone down on my knees and prayed, thank you, the Almighty, whoever he or she may be. And so I don't give that enough credit. Like anyone's practice, if it's really seen them through, whether it's Qigong, Tai Chi, whatever it may be, but that really held me in good stead, as well as these groups many years ago. So as I'm going through the food journey, I have cravings, I'd have cravings. So I'd have these tools. So it's like, I'm going to say, any addiction comes up, we tend to go back to our addictive behavior. So I would have like a meditation form, which was the Jinshin Jiu-Jitsu, which would help me release which I see now, the older memory, the stagnant, stuck energy in my meridian field, my energy body. Say that, and which stops me from being my whole being and suppresses a massive part of me. So I'd have the cravings, I'd do my practice, lay down, different flow, whether it's to do with my lung flow, large intestine. I did a lot. That's lots about letting go, small intestine, different, let's say, flows. And also you can just work with the fingers. Each finger connects to 2 organs. And then I would be just laying there. I had a good dream awareness too. I did quite a lot of work there. And then boom, 7, an experience I had totally forgot about. There I am in a experience that obviously had a traumatic effect on me. And then I was having that time and time again. Have a craving, 3 days later, another craving. I would do my practice. I would go into different experiences that have been locked in my body, hence the projects, illnesses we have. I'm going to call them projects. So there was so much release going on. So even if I'm feeling terrible or looking terrible, I have this other awareness that I know what's really going on. So whatever my physical body may be looking like, generally what is going on another level is like, wow, just such an ecstatic experience. I could be crippled, couldn't hardly be talking in certain different detoxes I have done. However, there's this other connection that is just like festival time, it's party time. And, I'm going to say my ancestors or guides are just, carry on, Pete, carry on. So if we don't have that connection or even support by someone else, this is why it's wise to go on, if you're going to go on any adventure, if you can afford it, get as much help as you can and research it the best you can. So I had that. So I do see the difficulty and the challenges that people may have, and then if they got no support, they go back to the very same habits, back to the same patterns, back to the same environment, around the same friends. So it's so easy to fall back into them patterns. I heard you mention it's not just about the food. It's a whole holistic experience. I kept going back to the same old work and approaching it with very similar old patterns, so it was a very toxic work environment. That was my default in terms of earning a certain money, in terms of the system. So my environment, friends did change through me changing inwardly. So the inner change was so important, and it is really a shame that people don't have the real support and the real compassion, not just comforting them in their pain, not just comforting them in their story. It's able to stand strong, to be able to just hold a space so they are allowed to really do their unique path of passage, uniquely to go through it, rather than say, oh, John, Phil, Jane, they helped me so much. Yeah, we may support. However, my experience is to truly just allow the person to truly go through that. I've experienced that in birth and really step back so my partner could really experience. She did it. She didn't need me. Ultimately, she didn't need me. She did it. Now, I could have been in there and all that, and she can have this story. Pete was this, Pete was that. There are certain things that I was, but however, it's just like she did it. So it's empowering people, get our ego out of the way, get our identities out of the way. I realized as well 17 years ago, it's a time where we cannot be crutches for other people. We all have to be accountable, responsible for ourselves. And, I've been doing something in terms of astrology program at the moment. Kind of program is, Mahat comes up a lot, the weighing of the heart. So it's not about waiting for that when we pass, it's just like, it's now. It's like we can lighten our hearts now. And by all these methods, the food, getting rid of the abuse we're doing on our bodies, relearning love, embracing, how to really nurture oneself so we can pass it down to our children, not pass the same really ridiculous patterns, because adults are still children and like bickering like a 4-year-old to their daughters and their sons. It's like, wow, what are we doing, So these kind of programs, and I did hear a bit of Paula's story as well as Herb's and Phil's, and the beautiful stories. So I think we to keep them going, so we can share our stories. And I remember Paula saying about it's still challenging. You know what? It's still challenging for me, and this is 17 years on, and I realize I do lots of things like Asul and Sabina, so religiously, me and my partner, either I'm lighting it or my partner is 6 a.m. sauna, ice bath. And we do a protocol for the first few hours every time we're in England. If we're in another country, we do a different one. So, you know, that just becomes a practice. And then we obviously do our juicing and our foods. But I was going to say, in terms of if you start realizing it's just a thought, it's just a belief. So we talk about, I heard Herb say about, in terms of, I forgot what he said, but in terms of our wording, we just need to change. If we had the concept, pain being such, you could say a pain, or challenges. So if we change that wording, I could say honestly, every time I wake up in the rising, that I can dwell on this 10th of a second or a minute of the old paradigm thinking. It's like, wow. So it just keeps me in check that it is still around, but I don't have to feed it. So we don't have to feed it. It's like, what wolf are we feeding? So we just keep changing it. And then from 90% being not there to being more 90% there, and it only gets better. But it's just belief. It's just belief. So I'm just going to take that belief.
So thank you for that. So Paula, you heard about exactly what Pete just said about the old paradigm showing up even after quite a while, more than a decade. How does it show up for you, and what are your challenges?
I think it's like a big journey of like letting go of what we were taught and programmed, and for me it's like truly a journey. And I think like each day I'm becoming more aware, and I'm like lighter in some way, because I'm shifting all these new paradigms and timelines, and I'm stepping into new timelines each time. So definitely it's a process, it's a journey, and it's becoming more conscious for me each time and more pleasant, because when we go through all this process of removing the layers, we are stripping our ego, our different personalities or things that we were told about ourselves, and we are more connected to our true essence of who we really are at the core as a spirit. We are becoming our most truly authentic selves. And for me, in my journey, I failed many times, because it was not truly a failure, but it made me stronger, and it made me more connected and aware, and it made me like more powerful and grounded in my decisions and in my changes in my lifestyle. And whenever I go backwards, then I'm going forward even more in the right direction. So I'm truly grateful and blessed for all this experience and my journey.
Thank you so much for that. And I want to remind everyone that for me, when I say fruit and people say, well, in winter, that we're talking about all fruit, not just the sweet ones. So we mean the savory ones too. Like, for example, the squashes, like this one. I think it's just absolutely stunning. In fact, right now I'm writing a book. My new book will be about living seasonally. And if I have time today, I'm going to be making soups with this, living soups. So we also have pumpkins. These are also fruit. So this one is pretty big. It's wonderful to lift weights with. And these are all also fruit. And that's why I eat seasonally. And there's just so much that one can do with these fruit to get oneself through the winter without thinking, oh, but I must have something cooked. Sabina, that would be an issue in your area because you don't have many fruits.
Well, actually, right now, I just went shopping this morning and I found a lot of amazing fruits. They had pomegranate, they had blueberries, they had blackberries. I got fresh cranberry, not fresh, but the cranberries were actually local and fresh. And so I actually got tons of fruit, but I also did get some pumpkins. But all fall, I was blessed with grapes, amazing grapes that still had the seeds, and it was so delicious and tasted unlike any other grapes you buy at the store. They were just like out of this world. So I was blessed to have them several months. I had every day like at least 1 or sometimes 2 pounds of grapes for breakfast with the seeds. Ultra delicious, and I missed them. But I got the pumpkins as well. So I would love to hear some recipes how to make a living soup. I usually steam them, but you mentioned you make them raw. So I'm just curious because I tried a few times, it didn't taste good. So I'm just curious how to make it tasty.
Oh, yes. Mine has coconut and it has curry, real curry. I don't mean curry powder, the curried leaves and turmeric and ginger. And so it's very warming as well. But I have that. I'm in the midst of making them right now. So soon I have to photograph them too and everything else. But eventually they will be here. Those recipes are going to be, because it's going to be seasonal living, no matter where one is, whether one is in Scandinavia, in Canada, it doesn't really matter. So before Herb falls asleep, I want to just, because it's evening in England now, and he's on the verge, Paula, I want you to come back on, and I'd like you to just tell us, how do you feel when you look at yourself the way you were before, and now when you see yourself again, how do you feel when you see this or this? And do you think you would ever go back? You would ever return? Do you think, is there anything you miss there that would allow you to return to that state?
So I'm truly blessed and grateful for my transformation. And I was going through layers of like going back to me not looking as beautiful when I was stripping all these layers and detoxing further, when I was releasing all these toxins, acids, mucus coming out. So I saw myself many times as this not very good looking woman, and I truly have a lot of compassion and love to myself in every version. And like some of the version of myself I don't really wanted to share, but I have more dramatic pictures as well on my phone. And it was not only the feeling that I'm looking so bad with the swollen eyes, rashes and everything, but I was always like feeling so bad when I was experiencing this. I was feeling so stagnant, so depressed, so heavy, and so full of carrying somebody's burden and carrying all these worries of the world. And I would never like to go back to the way that I was feeling. But I also hold so much compassion and love to myself for all the version of myself and all of the things that I was going through. And I'm just truly so, like, when I'm looking back, I'm truly so grateful and proud of myself, of how much progress I did and how much work I've put. And there are periods in my life that I'm more going deeper in the detox and I look amazing, like AI even, because my skin is looking so glowing. I look amazing, and there are some periods that I feel like I need to eat more actually and go into the mode of releasing more layers and emotional. And I truly accept and hold so much love and compassion for every version of me. And like I want to inspire you to work on yourself and to change your life, because your life will change forever. Because when you make this first decision that you don't want to suffer anymore and you want to become the best version of yourself, there is no going back, because you don't want to feel how you were feeling at the beginning of your journey, and you don't want to go back to this old version of yourself, and you just feel so blessed by life, and you just emanate so much love and joy and peace, like Herb said. Like he just feels so much compassion and love and energy, and nobody wants to feel depressed anymore, even though that during all the healing and digging deeper into all these layers and pain, you might feel like the same as you started, because, or even worse, because you need to release what is still holding you. So you might, when you start, you don't even aware how much things that you need to shift and remove, and you will go back to some of the feelings, but it's not defining you, it's not making you worse than anybody else. And if you're making mistakes, if you're falling, you're still this beautiful being, and you should always hold so much gratefulness, so much compassion and love to yourself in each stage that you're in no matter how you look like on the outside, because the true beauty is emanating from the inside to the outside, and by this beautiful energy you can change the world and inspire others to do the same, and always transforming the new beautiful version of ourselves.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Phil. You have been doing this for a while. Have you ever, I'm asking the same question, have you ever felt tempted to go back even a wee bit or a little bit, or are you so fully in the transformation that it's just a thing of the past for you?
It's a thing of the past for me. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing it. When did my transformation start? 1994. So what's that? 31 years. So, no, there's only going forwards. I know it's a bit corny, but there isn't any going back. I mean, there's nothing for me. The connections with my friends, they weren't really connections. I remember years ago, I used to go to the pub and hang out with the boys, and then I'd walk home and I'd walk up the road and I'd just look up at the sky and go, is that it? Is that all there is? And the answer was no. There's so much more. But it's so, there's just nothing there to go back to. The connections that I get now are deeper and they're purer, they're wholesome. The people are more real, so we get real connections with real depth. And, everyone's encouraging each other, which is what I love. I love doing that with this show, with you guys on here, because everyone's encouraging each other to move forwards, to step up, to step out, to carry on. So, no, there's nowhere to go back to, just places to go forwards to.
So well stated, too. Thank you for that. And I'm going to just ask Paula just to give us for the very, very end. She's our special guest today. What was the most important thing you did to really create not a change, but a transformation? In just 1 minute, if you would let us know that.
I think when I gave all my pain and worries and everything that was holding me to God, and I started praying and believing that everything is possible, when I truly dedicated my life and my mission to God, and everything changed, because I was trusting, I was flowing through life, and I was always divinely guided, and everything was divinely orchestrated. And even though I was going through a lot of hardship and challenges on my way, and even dark evil forces trying to steer me away from my mission, I was still standing strong and believing, and I was never holding back and going back to what it was, and I was still holding on to the better future and my mission, and that was keeping me alive and motivated. And yeah, God was everything for me. The true connection with the spirit, the God, universe, and my higher version, the highest version of myself.
So would you say then, Paula, that for you, not just the highest version of yourself, but the fact that you knew that you were not alone, was that a factor at all in any way, shape, or form?
Yes, I knew that I'm always like held by the spirit. I'm always connected with my spirit guides, my ancestors, and they are reaching for me, praying, and always supporting me. And I know that I'm not doing this only for myself, but for the future generations, for the collective consciousness. And by my change, my transformation, I can inspire and help others. And that was truly guiding me and motivating to keep going and don't give up on my journey. Even though, like I said, it was not always easy and I was going through a lot of challenges on my way, I was still keep going and believing that everything will work out perfectly.
Great, thank you. So what you're saying now, and what everybody has said here today, is that our belief systems are vitally important. And it seems to me that that is actually the most important aspect between just creating change in our lives and actually going to a full-blown transmission. So on behalf of all of my co-hosts, Herb, who's about to fall asleep, Phil, Pete, Sabina, and of course, our special guest today, Paula. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm so glad that we were able to make it on with us today and to tell your story, because I think the more we tell our stories of transformation is the more we actually enter deeper into them, the more we hear other people's stories of transformation, is the more validation it gives having actually gone the road less traveled. And eventually, this will no longer be the road less traveled. This will be one of the main roads. So thank you very much. And anything you'd like to leave our audience with in 1 minute?
I would just say, like, to always keep believing and inspiring others and keep pushing forward, even if you face a lot of challenges and a lot of hardships on your way. Just keep going and believing in yourself and your purpose, and go back into the nature, into the simplicity and the way that we all being designed. Just go back to your truest version, truest form, and you just be in this full loving awareness and consciousness, and the love will overpower all the darkness and all the poison that you still holding onto.
Thank you, Paula. So what I want to do now is I want to make sure that everyone realizes something and thinks about this, that this, if you're really having a rough time by yourself, I strongly suggest getting a coach to assist you, because they have been there, done that, and they will get you through it. There are workshops like Sabina's on Radiance, which really, I think, is so fitting for her. There are festivals like Pete has, where you can go and just rejoice, and all that dancing that Sabina and Paolo do, they can do it there at his festival galore. And all the things that really matter to you will come together if you just stay on the path. And we do all need help. So be willing to reach out. I'm glad that you joined us today. Please share this. You never know whose literally life you could be saving by sharing this today. And so on behalf of our co-hosts and on all of our audience, thank you so much, Paula. Congratulations what you're doing. Reach out whenever you need to. And to everyone watching, thank you for coming here today and giving us of your time and being open to this knowledge. Bye, everyone. See you next time.